episode is now about boundaries,
Yes.
guys.
Forget about kindness.
Yeah. Welcome back to a new episode of my series, Perfectly Imperfect. So, in today's episode, we're going to be embracing our flaws and learning from others' experiences. So, my name is Hayley, and I have a special guest with me today, if you want to introduce yourself.
So my name is Inês. I'm a fat loss and strength coach. So I focus on getting women to feel sexy again, to feel healthy, strong, losing fat, and getting what they want and what they perceive of their ideal physique. But with an ideal physique, it comes an ideal mind, or very close to that.
So today we're going to start off, and I'm going to say my name is Hayley and my 3 flaws, and then you can do the same.
Oh God, okay.
So, off the top of my head, my name is Hayley, and I'd say my 3 flaws are, I said this, but running late, and I'm trying to work on that, which I've actually improved a lot recently. I came on time today, ish. Anyway,
Actually.
but I think also, well, one of my other flaws would probably be trying to make everything perfect, which is quite ironic because the series is called Perfectly Imperfect. And then another one would probably be giving myself too much work. I think that's something that I need to slow down on.
I can definitely resonate with all these flaws, but I don't want to be a copycat. So I would definitely say, and these are probably things, again, that they can also be advantages to a certain extent. But as a flaw, definitely sometimes extremely stubborn. I am extremely perfectionist, which again could work in our favor, but sometimes taken to an extreme is not a good thing because it can burn yourself to the ground as well. I think I'm not good at building boundaries with work and anything work related. Workaholic over here. So
Yeah.
business owner, I mean, it says it all, no?
I can relate to that as
Yeah.
well. So I really wanted to do this episode of you because I kind of feel like you're like another version of myself, and I really, really like that. In for a treat, guys. In for a treat.
Definitely an older version, though.
Yeah, no, I don't see it. But anyway, so I sent you some categories, and I saw out of the categories you chose kindness. So why did this resonate with you, and why are you passionate to speak about this today?
I think we need to think more about kindness and love in general. I think is not a topic that is spoken about a lot. To be fair, I don't know where this conversation is headed, but I do think that, why not? Why don't start with a positive conversation? Yeah.
I thought this was a great category because I think sometimes, especially in the fast-paced world that we are right now, it's really easy to just kind of leave those moments of kindness behind and
focus on the negative.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very excited for this episode. I actually googled the definition of kindness because I wanted to see. I was like, before we go into interpretation, but it's actually the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate, which kind of makes sense. I don't know what I was expecting it to be. The definition.
Nothing surprising there. But
Yeah. Question I have for you is, what does kindness mean to you?
Ooh. We were having a conversation around this earlier on when I was feeding Hayley.
Yeah. Amazing. By the way, her food is really good.
Maybe I should start another business. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking. But definitely, being considerate of others and of the space you're in, where you live. And by this, I mean the planet, by the people you surround yourself with. And I think for me, kindness is mostly that, being considerate. And also be kind to yourself. So you need to be considerate of yourself, of your own boundaries, which was something that I was just saying right now. And yeah, very simply, I think that's it. Because then that encapsulates everything else.
Can you give both the good and the bad experiences of kindness? And I felt like for me, that was being kind to myself was something that I kind of struggled with a bit and have been struggling with. And I would say it's kind of to do with trust a bit. Like if you don't trust yourself, then it's like really hard to kind of be kind to yourself, whereas if there's someone that's a bit like an older figure or family member like that you trust, it's so much easier to be kind to them. So I don't know, what's your thoughts on that?
Being kind to yourself, well, as someone, I obviously don't want to say this, but age and maturity well, it does really help because obviously with time you start building boundaries, you start getting to know yourself, and you start appreciating yourself a bit more and your own time. And that's really precious because you are the person that you'll have until the end, right? And so that's some of the work that I also do with my clients in my online coaching business, is really learn how to love yourself again, or learn how to love yourself even, because some people never had that chance to even think about that, because they're always thinking about others and they're always being considerate to others. But pouring from an empty cup is very, very relevant in this case, because you really need to love yourself first, take care of yourself first, be considerate to yourself first and kind to yourself, and then I think that will then transpire to others and to your surroundings.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of when I do so many jobs, I just spread myself so thin, then I don't have the energy all the time to take care for myself. And I'm just like, okay, so I guess what you mean is kind of, you have to make that energy, because at one point you won't be able to carry on. We're all human, and if you haven't broken yet, if you're on that, you will.
I feel like we always think that we can push, but you can only push so hard or so far until you break. And I've been in that place, so I don't advise anyone to get there, by the way. Being kind to yourself is definitely a learning curve that I find that most people need to go on. Especially, this is another interesting thing with my clients, with myself. So as a perfectionist, I can be very, very mean to myself.
Me too.
Yeah, I believe that. And because I'm extremely competitive, that could be one of my flaws actually, because I'm competitive on everything, but mostly with myself. And this means having these voices: you're not enough, you're not doing enough, this was crap, you need to do it again. And so changing that narrative and changing that dialogue and thinking, would you talk to your best friend like that? I don't think so. So I do that exercise a lot with my clients, and I try to do it with myself. You can also try in the mirror, or even grab a picture of yourself as a baby. Would you even talk to a baby like that? Most probably not. So just be mindful of those little things, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of something else that you reminded me of was, when you're kind to yourself, it kind of allows you to be kinder to others. I don't know what it was, but I think when you get into that headspace of just being, so harsh and mean to yourself, you kind of just you physically cannot think about others, or it's really easy to be caught up in your own thing and just forget about thinking about others. So how do you say you would navigate that? And how is there any moments of you've been not kind, but you wish, because you were stressed, or I know for me, you've just accidentally taken out something or someone, you're oh, okay, cool, but then that could have been avoided, and how would you navigate that in the future?
Sure. I feel like there's two versions here. So one would be, for me personally, this is very personal, I take care more of others than me at times. And this also comes from the perfectionist, because I want to give you the best, but then where do I stand on that equation? And that's when I forget about myself, and I'm not being kind to myself. And this is where boundaries are very helpful as well. In regards to being unkind, because I haven't measured my own self in different situations, and then it builds up, and then you kind of as a Latino, you probably know, but I do think that comes with communication, right? And boundaries again. Sorry, guys, I feel like I'm repeating this word a lot.
This episode is now about boundaries, guys.
Forget about kindness. No, but the truth is, if you communicate things and set your boundaries, and you are transparent about your own feelings, things can be sorted at the time or the situation rather than building up. And I'm saying this because I would probably have those unkind moments on situations where something really gets on my nerves or under my skin, but instead of communicating that, I would just run with it until it gets to the point where you just explode. And it's worse because obviously you can hurt the feelings of someone else. So you're definitely not being kind. And you're definitely not being kind to yourself because you're pushing yourself to that stage, which is not comfortable, right?
Is there any memorable quotes or things that really stood out to you of advice that you've seen? I don't know if it's on TikTok, but nowadays everything's on TikTok. So I know I always follow like motivational pages, and they just come out with like crazy quotes that make you think about life, and you're like, oh damn, this has really shifted my perspective of everything. If you had to give one of those that's really stuck with you, what would you say that is?
Haley, this is one of the things I would have loved to prepare.
It's on the spot.
Yeah. This is too impromptu. To be honest with you, I'm not very big on quotes. Not going to lie. I do appreciate now and then some of them resonate, and I feel like with age I'm getting more that person that actually shares those quotes. So I'm like, who am I? I don't have one from the top of my head.
None that you've heard from other people? It doesn't have to be one that you've made up, unless you want to share one that you've made up.
No, really don't. I really don't. No, sorry, that's a very disappointing answer. But I don't. It's very genuine.
No, this is a real reaction. But when I say quote, what comes to your mind? Like, it doesn't have to be like the be all and end all of everything. Okay. Like, it can be about kindness, obviously, on the topic.
Yeah, hopefully not boundaries.
Not boundaries. But if you want an episode on boundaries, then I'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know if you like this too. Respect that sometimes your own timing is different, your own learning curve is going to be different, and not everything is going to be perfect. And I think that's where most of us get a bit unkind to ourselves, because it's like, why didn't I get this? Why didn't I do this right? This was not that good.
No, it was, you know what, everything is good. So you're being not kind to yourself right now. Should you see this, guys?
in action.
We're gonna speak and link it to honesty as well, because it is so true. Like, how can you be kind if you're lying to yourself?
No, because a lot of people are like, I'm so kind, I'm such a good person. By the way, everyone has the sun and the moon in them, right? So we are not just good or bad. But definitely I feel like some people are like, I'm just so good and so kind that I'm never gonna share what I think about the situation, or call you out on stuff, or just share your political views, your social views. But that's also being kind. When you, for instance, if you have a friend that is doing something that might not be good for them, just call them out. Obviously, sometimes it's more how you say it than what you say. So that's being kind as well, and I think that gets very misinterpreted.
If you have like, I don't know, like a booger or eyelash on your face or something, and you're like going out.
That could be a small action of kindness. Just let me know if I have some spinach in my teeth.
Yeah, like a real friend will tell you.
It's the nurture or nature conversation, right? I do think it comes a lot with what you grew up in and what you're surrounded by. I have to say that my parents influenced me a lot, especially my mom. She's extremely considerate, extremely kind, but she doesn't see it that way. So I could say in her case it could be very instinctive, right? But it might also be from being brought up in that way. So I think it's a bit of both, really. It's definitely a bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, my other post-it note says upbringing factor. So, I mean, I don't need to say any more. I like what you said about the sun and the moon thing, because I think also sometimes people always assume, like, I don't know if it's from movies, but you're either a good person or a bad person.
It is a bit from the movies.
Yeah.
In Disney, you're either the evil or not.
Yeah, exactly. There's no person who's good sometimes and bad sometimes. So I just really wanted to like normalize that kind of on the podcast.
Why we are talking about perfect imperfections.
We also talked about journaling before, and that is so powerful, because if you don't journal, then literally
Get to journaling.
you don't what's your escapism? Because it's needed. I wanted to hear also a bit more about your business just before we finish everything up.
A big part of what I do is finding that place where you learn to love yourself throughout the journey, because the journey is not going to be fast, but also to build your limits, talk to other people about what you're going through, be honest about how you feel about things, just in general being kinder to yourself. I do find that with women, we tend to pour into others a lot. I don't know if this is, I don't want to say it, but a maternal instinct almost. And a lot of times we forget about ourselves. So the first step is when someone reaches out to me to join my team. That's already, for me, that's already a sign that you want to be kinder to yourself. Yeah, that's part of the work I do, apart from obviously the training and getting you to the weight section.
What you said, literally, the mentality is like the first step. Right, that's something I've learned from my mom. She's literally also my number one supporter in everything. Aww. If it wasn't for you, wouldn't be here.
Props to mom.
Yeah, shout out.
As much as people think that a lot of your fat loss journey or getting stronger is going to be about what you eat and how you train, which it is, it's a big part, but a lot of it has to do with your mind and where it's at and the journey. And it's not going to happen overnight. I deal with a lot of people that face anxiety. I'm someone that faces anxiety. So we do a lot of anxiety management. One of the tools is journaling. I obviously don't overstep. So if it goes to a point where go see a therapist, I would obviously always advise it. But a lot of the mindset work, you would be surprised, sometimes it's 80% of the work. Because once that changes, everything changes, and this goes for everything: training, nutrition, habits, boundaries, self-care, everything.
Yeah, I mean, we can't leave it on a better note, guys. Like honestly, I would say I always thought I was the best at resilience until I went to the gym, and then I'm like, I have a lot of mind work to do. So yeah, thank you for joining me today on the episode. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
And don't forget to go and check out all of her stuff. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.